He finally said it. He finally said something to address the rumors that have been surrounding him for the past couple of months. Bo Bichette, we all thought he was unhappy in Toronto. Turns out it was not the case. So we'll break it down and much more in this episode of Jay's Digest. Welcome in everybody to Jay's Digest. I'm your host Peter Vryonis alongside host Nick Gosse. Shout out to Nick for holding it down there the last couple of days. Been busy uploading some other stuff. So maybe you'll want to check that out pretty soon. But Nick, we got some Blue Jays news to discuss and some very important Blue Jays news to discuss because Bo Bichette has been the talking point for the past couple of weeks. And don't worry, I've still been in the loop. I've still been knowing what's been going on here. But Bo, and what we all thought was a season where he was unhappy and couldn't wait to basically get out of here and and get hitch the next ride out of town. Maybe that's not the case, and maybe he wants to work things out in Toronto and remain a Blue Jay for the entirety of his career.
Yeah, he finally broke the silence after what has been really, it feels like the entire year of him not really saying much about the Jays. And let's just dive right into it. Well, Peter, we have some good news today. So you can see here, Bo Bichette and his future in Toronto. There's a lot of quotes to go over. We'll discuss all of them. Let's just start with the biggest one here. My ultimate goal really is to play with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. forever, to win a championship with him, and to do that with this organization. And Shadavidi basically just came out and asked Bo Bichette directly about his future with Toronto because he's obviously a free agent after next season. Peter, before we get into the rest of the quotes, I just want to get your thoughts on this one. It's very interesting, very different than what we all thought, but it seems like he wants to stay in Toronto, and maybe the trade talks this offseason will have to be put on hold, or maybe Ross Atkins does it anyway, depending on how he thinks Bo and Vladdy can take them, if they can take them far into the playoffs or not. But his goal is to stay in Toronto and remain a J.
Yeah, well, they've had the opportunity to go far in the playoffs and to prove that they can be a winning duo over the past 5 years, and they failed to deliver on those promises and on those expectations as well. So I don't think so. I mean, they haven't shown the ability to exceed expectations or to meet expectations for that matter. So I don't know. They're still young players. Vladdy is still 25 years old. Bo is still 26. So there is time for them to mold into maybe more complete ball players and into better ball players. I don't think they're done improving, but the real question here, Nick, is whether or not the Blue Jays think it's feasible to offer long-term contracts to both of those guys. Now, we've been very vocal on the fact that we want Vladdy to remain a Blue Jay for life. He has been saying that for the past couple of years now, at least that's what it feels like. And it feels like something is brewing between the two sides. And I'm talking about the front office and Vladdy. So maybe there's hope there in getting a long-term deal done, but that's going to run you about what six not six, sorry about that,
A
$300 million
lot.
dollars
600 for
probably as the
both.
base. Yeah, 600 for both, right? Exactly. Maybe. I mean, you never know, right? You never know how these conversations unfold, and maybe a player wants to take a shorter bridge deal so they can hit free agency at 30 and then get paid one more time. Who knows? Who knows how these things go, and how those conversations go in those rooms that were not really accessible to. So yeah, it's great that he's saying this, but do the Blue Jays think it's possible to retain both of them at the exorbitant amount of money that they're going to ask for and go out and add other pieces in free agency? Because just bringing those two back and keeping them here for the future, is that enough to get them over the hump with all the complementary pieces that are developing in the minor leagues? I'm not so sure about that. So you got to sign those two guys if you want to keep them around, on top of spending money to go out and sign a star, another star to complement them. So I don't know if the Blue Jays are working with that big of a budget this offseason. It's going to be interesting to monitor that, but it's not a question of whether or not they want him to come back. It's a question of whether or not they think they can keep both of them past next season.
Yeah, obviously they can extend both, but like you mentioned, if they use all that money, what will they have left to address the glaring holes that are on this team, whether that's the bullpen, whether that is the other hitters that they're going to need? And he says he wants to win, first off, like we said, with Vladdy for this organization. And there's a few more quotes we can dive into here. He said, when I had time to think about what I want, basically my ultimate goal is to play with Vladdy forever, win a chip with him, and to do that with this organization. And he said he's 100% committed to doing whatever it takes to accomplish those things. That's where I'm at. And he basically kind of reflected a little bit in how they've been talking, Vladdy and Bo, that is, since they were 18 years old, about how they want to win together. From my point of view, what I'm focused on now is how do we get back to where we are and where they were in the minors when they were winning. And he basically had another quote, basically saying, I finally feel like I've learned a lot about myself through failure, whether that be on or off the field. I can do better on the field, but I can also do better off the field, in the clubhouse, everything. I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to do better. And Peter, these quotes are very telling of him. This is the first time we've seen quotes like this out of him really in a very long time, if ever, just coming out and kind of airing it all out. He wants to stay a Blue Jay. He wants to be a better teammate. He wants to be a better player. And he's willing to do what he said, 100% of whatever it takes to accomplish those goals. And I mean, I love to see that. The question is, are they going to keep him or afford to keep him, in the sense of still being able to build a competitive team that still has a ton of holes? Because let's not forget, Bo and Vladdy were still members of the team this season, and they still struggled, even though Bo was hurt a ton.
Yes, and we'll use Vladdy here as a measuring stick. Now, we're not expecting Bo to be this rah-rah guy who's always laughing and having fun on the field. He's more serious and he's more about his business when he's on the field. So don't take that as like a measure of his character just because he's not talking up a storm when you get to second base and he's not trying to be your friend all the time. Like that's not what is indicative of his character. But what we did see this year was him maybe looking uninterested in the dugout, or maybe not being not really giving critical feedback to his teammates. Like he didn't look involved this year at any point, and that was my issue. Like, and I'm using Vladdy as a measuring stick here because even though he has a lot of fun and he wants to, be everybody's friend, he's this happy-go-lucky guy. He's made significant strides this season as a leader, and he has become the leader of this Blue Jays ball club on and off the field. Like you saw the video of him pulling Davis Schneider aside. This is a guy who's the same age as him. Like they are the same age. And Vladdy is a guy who has had immense success at the big league level. He's pulling aside a struggling teammate, saying, I'm not giving up on you, man. Just try this, try some different things. And then what did Davis Schneider do? He hit a home run a couple of days later. So, it's stuff like that. It's just gathering the guys around you and rallying them around you because they all know that you're the best player on the team and they're looking to you to make things happen and to stir the pot. And that's what Vladdy has done this season. He has become by far and away the best player on the team. And he has established himself as the leader of this squad, which was kind of a question mark heading into the season. We were all maybe looking to George Springer to be that guy, but his diminishing skill set, can he be that guy and will he be that guy? Well, he's not anymore because this is Vladdy's team and he's making he's making that clear to everybody. So I think if Bo can rally in that same kind of way and become more of a leader by example instead of just kind of sticking to himself in the dugout, I think that will do immense things for this squad and help them progress forward. But we got to see some strides from him next year if he wants to get paid by the Blue Jays.
Yeah, and I'm sure Vladdy doing what you just mentioned kind of led a little bit to Bo Bichette wanting to step up and win with his teammate. And they've been teammates for a very, very long time now. And they want to win with the Blue Jays. So that's a good sign. Some very interesting news this morning. Let us know in the comments your thoughts are on that. And do you want to see the Jays keep Bo Bichette, or do you think he still should be shipped out of town? Let us know. We'll see you tomorrow.